Hey everyone, so I'm just out at the park, I guess. I don't know what I'm going to call this video, probably like, we need to talk or something, because I've really been thinking about what's been happening the last couple of what would you call it, a couple of weeks or something in our country, the United Kingdom. We've got to a stage now where we've got our own government threatening to try and extradite people from other countries if they say harmful things online. Now, you can argue about this, whether it's, well, first of all, whether it's feasible at all, but what I want to talk about is kind of the big thing. Elon Musk and his tweets, and his X's or whatever we call them now. Guys, some of the things he's posted are just absolutely wild and quite humorous. Now, it got me thinking, what I feel we've had in the United Kingdom for such a long time is, and I'll bring this down to my family. So we've got someone in our family who's an absolute nightmare. They're always in trouble with the police. They're just a nightmare in the family. Now, instead of trying to deal with that problem, people in the family just try and shield him because it is a person, and they try and hide things and not let other people know. And then when people ask questions about it, people, get really aggressive and pull ranks and say, oh no, we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. Just forget about it. Just don't worry about it. It's over there. And that's, what happens in our family. So I was thinking, do we have a similar situation, in the United Kingdom, where we've got these problems, but rather than deal with the root cause of the problems, we're trying to, well, not the normal everyday people, because the normal everyday people understand that to deal with a problem, you have to, first of all, acknowledge there is a problem, and then you can deal with it. So I think we've got a situation where we're just literally doing that. We're hiding the fact that we have a problem, and we're kind of in denial about this problem. And rather than deal with the problem, we're dealing with the symptom of the problem. Like if you're in, I don't know, if you've got rust on your car, rather than, pull everything off and, scrape it back, sand it down, cut all the rust out, refill it, use fiberglass, get it sprayed again, and then it'll never come back. It's done, it's finished, it's over, it's not coming back. We're literally just painting over it, and we're in denial that it keeps coming back. So I started to think about this free speech thing, and there was, I saw some people on the TV, I don't know who it was today, and they were saying we don't, that the right to free speech is like implied or something. I can't remember what he said exactly. But then I was thinking, do we have the right to free speech? And, all this stuff that Elon Musk's posting, brutal though it is it, is the truth? Are we allowed to share the truth? Because the truth is the truth. You can't, there's no slant on it. It is what it is. If we're seeing things in real time, like for example, we're seeing this, and nobody can say there's not a two-tier system in the United Kingdom, with the police, and it's become so evident, and it's actually like it's kind of funny now, how people are dealt differently depending on what their background is and what they're protesting about. So that's kind of the situation. And if we bring this down to like the family level, that's kind of what we have. Like in our family, when we just hide and pretend when we just hide about a certain person and we don't talk about it, we're just like, oh yeah, what's happening over there? And, we kind of just turn in a blind eye. But I think that just makes things worse, because at some point, these problems get worse and worse and worse. And if we don't deal with them, at the root cause, if we don't deal with the root cause, God, look at my hair. Honestly, it's definitely haircut time soon. If we don't deal with the root cause of these problems, they inevitably get worse, and it'll get to a point pretty soon, I think, because we're already seeing the cracks. It's going to get to a point soon where people just don't care about going to prison. They're like, you know what? I'm not allowed to express my opinions now online. Tweets and things are sending people to literally people are getting prison time now. This, like George Orwell, I think he wouldn't, if he came now, he'd think he was in a movie, and the reality of this whole situation is we've known that this is coming for such a long time, and we need to talk about it, I think, like between our friends, between our family, not, not hide things away, and just be honest about things and say, listen, is this okay? Is what's happening okay? So for example, if you're, I don't know, if you're one of these people who's marching against anti-racism and, you want refugees welcome, well, that is absolutely fine. Do you know what? So do I. I agree with you. I think we should take refugees. I think we need an open border policy. I don't think we should close the borders. But the problem is, these words and these things are diluted, and what's the word I'm looking for? They're kind of mixed up with the real problem. So by refugees, the definition of a refugee is somebody who goes to the next country that's in war. People from North Africa that are traveling through 6 or 7 different countries and then making the trip over the channel. By the legal definition, guys, they're not refugees. They're not. That's the reality of the situation. Now, migration, I personally, I think we should have, I don't see a problem with migration, no matter what your background, skin color, ethnicity, religion is. If you want to come to this country, you fill out the correct forms, you apply, you pay whatever fees are necessary, and, you do what everyone else does. The problem that we have in this country, and I think all those people with the placards saying refugees welcome, I think if you sat them down and you said, listen, what do you mean by refugees welcome? Because I mean that. For example, the women and children fleeing Ukraine, I 100% though think those guys are welcome. And all the people in, for example, when I used to work in Syria, I used to go to these what are they called? Displacement camps. I used to do a lot of work in the displacement camps, mainly with children doing mine action. So you would go there and you would teach the children. In fact, I should probably do a video on the stuff that it might be a video, but we used to basically go to the go to these displacement camps. You would speak to the elders or whatever, and then you put together and you teach the children, what not to touch, because a lot of these places they've been heavily bombarded with munitions and stuff, and you just go through what to teach, not to touch this sort of stuff. If you see this, leave it away. What to do in the case of X, Y, and Z. But anyway, that's but they were real refugees. Those people there who were predominantly women and children, they were real refugees. They needed help. And, they couldn't get applications to the UK because, they just couldn't. But yet we can afford, I don't know how many people come every day, but they're certainly not refugees. They're certainly not migrants because they don't, they've not been accepted. So I don't know what they are, what these people are. But, this is where people get angry because, they think that because people want to stop the boats, they think that you're this horrible person who you don't want refugees, you're heartless. And you're like, no, the real refugees are not on those boats. The real refugees are in displacement camps all over the world. That's the fact of the matter. So we can't argue that. I don't think anybody can argue that there's women and children coming over on these boats. There might be a very small amount. And that's the problem, you see. We're not talking. And, and again, another one of the roles I used to do was kind of negotiate between people. And the first thing that I can tell you with 100% certainty, when communications break down, that's when you get the real conflict. So if communications break down and people are not talking and not having an honest conversation, like, for example, if people are not saying to these, I don't know, these refugees welcome guys, if we could sit them down, and I've seen a lot of them on the TV, I'd love to sit down with and talk to these people. I'd sit them down and say, look, okay, how many more people can we take in this country? Because these people are not contributing, so they're a net, somebody's got to pay for them. So how many can we take realistically? I'm just guys, and it sounds brutal, but let's just talk about the logistics and let's talk about the maths. How many people can we take? Another 1 million? 2 million, 10 million, 100 million? And then what happens? Society will just crumble, and because we won't be able to pay for them. And then where do we go? You know, and then which leads me on to the economic system at the moment, in the global economic system, I guess. You know, I think most Western countries now are on, guys, most Western countries are on the brink of recession. Now, this is linked with unemployment as well. They're not causation, correlation is not causation, but they are linked. Now, I think it's if unemployment goes up for 3 months, for 3 consecutive months, I think that is, I can't remember the exact statistic, guys, but it's something like if unemployment goes up so much for 3 months, you're guaranteed a recession, which is gonna, you know. And if you look at the world at the moment, we're looking like and I don't know why it's not happened yet, but we're looking like we're heading towards the biggest financial crisis that, you know, the world's ever seen. And history tells us, guys, you know, historically, when we have a huge financial crisis, it, you know, almost always goes hand in hand with a global conflict. Now, if you just look around the world, we've got all these markers. All these markers are there for everyone to see, you know. And we're still, you know, we're still fighting about petty things in this country. So, guys, I'm going to leave it there. But that's, you know, it's just food for thought. And I hope people can talk at the dinner table, you know, just talk about these things, you know. Talk the scenarios through. Say, okay, we want open borders. Anyone can come to the United Kingdom. You don't have to work. You don't have to do anything. We'll put you up in a hotel and we will pay you. That's fine. That is absolutely fine. And you know what, guys? If that's what it is, that's fine. I'll move to Texas. Or the other option, you know, we close our borders. But then we've still got, guys, I genuinely do think we have a responsibility to take refugees, you know, as a Western country. But we're not taking refugees. We're taking anybody who comes on a boat and we don't know who they are. Now, I can tell you, I could talk, guys, for hours about some of the things that I've witnessed in the Middle East. And these men, they don't have any criminal record. They don't have any CRB checks. They, you know, I don't know if they're on the boats, but that's kind of the thing. Nobody knows who's coming over. And that's what's scaring everybody, I think. And this incident with the 3 girls, I think it caused, first of all, guys, you know, I genuinely can't even talk about it yet. But I think the reason it's changed. There's no going back. It's changed everything as far as I'm concerned. But I think this changed everything because it wasn't in a big town, a big city. It wasn't London Bridge. It wasn't in, you know, this could have been this could have been anywhere. There was nothing significant about that location. It was just, I don't know what it was. But yeah, so the end of the day, guys, you know, we need to talk, because when communications break down, that's when conflict happens. So every side needs to talk, and we need to, you know, put our feelings across. We need to tell everybody how we feel and say, look, this is what I want. And we need to do it in an adult manner. We need to do it without shouting. We need to do it without destroying things. Because I think if everybody gets around the table and we can all talk about things, you know, in an adult manner, it flies, which is a good thing. You know, I think if we can all get round, talk about things like adults, discuss things, everybody will come to an agreement. But the problem is we just don't, because we're so divided at the moment, guys, because everybody thinks everybody is out to get them. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments, and I'm going to mag to grid, and I'll see you guys later.